Some people don't burn out because they are weak. They burn out because they're too kind. They're always there when someone needs help. They answer every call, solve everyone else's problems, and quietly carry burdens that were never theirs to begin with. Over time, they become so focused on everyone else that they stop noticing what's happening inside themselves. At first, people appreciate them. Then they get used to them. Eventually, they begin to expect it. The moment you say you're tired, they're surprised. It's as if you've taken back something they believed they were entitled to. Maybe you've experienced this yourself. Maybe you've been the one who always answered the phone, always listened, always stepped in, simply because saying no made you feel guilty. But when was the last time someone looked at you and asked, "Are you okay?" The Stoics understood this more than 2,000 years ago. People don't burn out because they care too much. They burn out because they forget to care for themselves. Self-sacrifice can be a virtue, but when it has no limits, it slowly erodes your peace, your energy, and eventually your identity. In this video, we'll explore why the people who give the most often end up with the least, why setting boundaries isn't selfish but an act of self-respect, and how Stoic wisdom can help you remain a kind person without losing yourself along the way. 1. Helping isn't the same as carrying someone else's life. Helping others is one of the kindest things you can do, but there's a difference between helping someone and carrying a life that was never yours to carry. It usually starts with something small, a simple favor, a phone call, a quick request. Then another one follows. Before long, you're the person everyone depends on. Every problem somehow finds its way to you. You believe you're being supportive, but little by little you're carrying burdens that were never yours to solve. This is where emotional exhaustion begins, not because you cared too much, but because you forgot that your own life needs your attention too. Epictetus believed that before saying yes to anything, you should pause for a moment and ask yourself a simple question. What will this cost me? Most of us never ask that question. We say yes because we don't want to disappoint people. We say yes because we fear rejection. We say yes because guilt feels easier than setting boundaries. But every unnecessary yes costs you something. It takes a little of your time, your energy, your peace, and eventually your sense of self. One day you look back and realize you've spent so much time fixing everyone else's life that you've neglected your own. Helping others is a virtue. Sacrificing your own well-being every single time is not. Real wisdom is knowing when to help and when to step back. 2. Expectations are the beginning of disappointment. You help someone with sincere intentions. They thank you. They seem genuinely grateful. Maybe they even tell you they'll never forget what you did. But time passes and everything changes. One day, when you need them the most, they're nowhere to be found. That's the moment most people feel betrayed. But the real source of that pain isn't the other person's behavior. It's the expectation they created in their own mind. Epictetus taught that we are disturbed not by events themselves, but by the meaning we give them. Without realizing it, you may have made a silent agreement with yourself. If I'm here for you today, you'll be here for me tomorrow. The problem is the other person never made that promise. You did. That's why the Stoics believed the reward for doing the right thing should come from your own character, not from someone else's gratitude. True virtue isn't about being praised. It's about doing what's right even when no one notices. That doesn't mean giving endlessly to everyone. It means recognizing the relationships that constantly drain your energy. Kindness will never make you weaker, but tying your self-worth to someone else's appreciation will. Real freedom begins the moment you stop expecting people to repay every good thing you've done for them. Unfortunately, many people never reach that point. They believe the more they give, the more they'll be loved. But that's exactly where the next mistake begins. 3. People will take as much as you allow. Human nature works in a predictable way. The first time you help someone, they appreciate it. The second time, they become used to it. Keep doing it, and eventually it stops feeling like a favor. It becomes an expectation. Then one day when you finally say no, they act as if you've done something wrong. Not because they're necessarily bad people, but because the human mind quickly accepts repeated behavior as normal. The more available you make yourself, the more people begin to rely on you. Not because they have to, but because you've never shown them where the limits are. Marcus Aurelius believed that every person must first learn to stand on their own feet. If someone is constantly leaning on you, neither of you truly grows stronger. Real kindness isn't about making people dependent on your help. It's about giving them the strength to carry their own burdens. If you solve every problem for them, one day you'll burn out, and they'll never learn how to solve problems on their own. That's why sometimes the kindest thing you can do is step back. Not every yes is an act of kindness. Sometimes a well-timed no is the greatest gift you can give someone. 4. You don't know who your true friends are until you stop giving. Many people believe they're surrounded by people who truly care about them. But sometimes what others value isn't you, it's what you do for them. They call because you always listen. They come to you because you always have the answer. They don't want to lose you because you're always available. But the moment you stop giving, something changes. The calls become less frequent. The messages slow down. The silence begins. That's when you discover what your relationships were really built on. Seneca warned that friendships based on personal gain disappear when the benefit is gone. It's a difficult truth, but it's also a freeing one, because it reminds you that not everyone is meant to have a permanent place in your life. True friends don't stay because of what you give them. They stay because of who you are. They stand beside you not only when you're strong, but also when you're struggling. That's why you should judge people by their actions, not their promises. Sometimes life removes people for a reason. What you lose isn't always a friend. Sometimes you simply lose an illusion. Real relationships aren't built on endless sacrifice. They're built on mutual respect, honesty, and genuine care. Once you understand that, you stop chasing approval and start appreciating the people who choose to stay, even when you have nothing left to give. 5. The greatest loss is neglecting your own life. When you're constantly focused on other people's problems, your own life quietly slips into the background. You postpone the things you've always wanted to do. You delay your rest. You put your goals on hold. Sometimes you even put yourself on hold. Then one day, you realize you've spent so much time helping everyone else move forward that you haven't moved forward yourself. This is one of the quietest forms of burnout. Sometimes, in trying to save everyone else, we forget to actually live our own lives. Seneca believed that people are far more willing to waste time than money because they don't realize that lost time can never be recovered. The time you spend taking care of yourself isn't selfish. It's what gives you the strength to care for others. An empty glass can't fill another. If you constantly feel exhausted, it may not be because you're giving too much. It may be because you've been neglecting yourself for far too long. The moment you make yourself a priority, you aren't turning your back on others. You're finally giving your own life the attention it deserves. 6. People learn how to treat you from the boundaries you set. People learn how to treat you by watching what you allow. If you say yes to every request, they eventually assume that's just who you are. They start making plans without asking you first. They treat your time as if it belongs to them. They expect you'll always be there whenever they need you. Then one day you finally say no and they're surprised. Some may even feel offended. But the truth is, you haven't changed. You've simply started protecting yourself. Seneca believed that self-respect comes before the respect of others. If you don't value yourself, you can't expect others to value you either. Setting boundaries isn't about pushing people away. It's about showing them how you deserve to be treated. Saying no doesn't make you selfish, and it doesn't make you less caring. It simply protects your peace. The people who truly belong in your life will respect your boundaries. The ones who only valued what you could do for them may quietly walk away, and that's not a loss. It's clarity. 7. You can be kind without losing yourself. One day you'll look back and realize something important. What changed your life wasn't saying yes to everyone. It was saying yes to yourself for the first time. Helping others is a beautiful virtue, but sacrificing your own peace every time isn't. It's a slow form of self-abandonment. Many people spend their entire lives trying to be liked, believing that's the same as being a good person. It isn't. Being kind and pleasing everyone are two very different things. Marcus Aurelius believed that we should live according to our nature. And your nature isn't just about giving. It's also about resting, growing, protecting your peace, and knowing when to step back. A candle that burns without pause eventually burns out. But a candle that protects its flame can continue to light the way for others. The same is true for you. Fill your own well before trying to fill someone else's cup, because a dry well has nothing left to give. Protecting yourself doesn't make you selfish. It allows you to keep helping others without losing yourself in the process. That's what true wisdom looks like. Maybe you saw a part of yourself in this video. Maybe you realize that while you've been trying to make everyone else's life easier, you've slowly stopped living your own. If that's true, remember this. Just because you've always said yes doesn't mean you have to keep saying yes forever. Sometimes the biggest change in your life begins with a single word: no. One word can change a relationship, break an unhealthy pattern, or even change the direction of your entire life. The Stoics never taught us to lose ourselves in the name of kindness. They taught us to protect our character, our peace, and our reason. Because someone who cannot take care of themselves will eventually have nothing left to give. So from this day forward, ask yourself one simple question. Am I doing this because I truly want to, or because I'm afraid of disappointing someone? That one question may change the way you see your relationships and the way you see yourself. If this video spoke to you, don't just leave it here. Share it with someone who might need to hear these words today. You never know when a single idea can change someone's life. And remember, the day you learn to master yourself is the day you begin to master your life.